really the purpose of tonight is to hopefully have everyone kind of come together, have an open discussion, be able to share best practices and challenges, and we really hope that this helps to kind of facilitate open conversation, and that DCAs and sponsorship ambassadors and anyone that kind of is partaking in a fundraising role in their affiliate feels comfortable reaching out to other fundraising volunteers across the country. And hopefully this also encourages everyone to start sharing best practices and utilizing Volunteer Central as well as a forum to communicate and share ideas. And so before we get started, I thought it would be nice to just really have everyone introduce themselves, what affiliate they're from, and how long that you've been involved. And I know it's a little hard on the phone, so I actually have a list of attendees who are on the phone with us tonight, so I thought that I could just go down and when we kind of read off your name, you can introduce yourself, share what affiliate you're from, and how long that you've been at the affiliate, just so everyone on the phone can get to know one another and know who to reach out to and things like that. So it looks like we have Jane on the line. Jane, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Jane Aronson. I'm the Chicago affiliate, and I'm the donor ambassador. I think this October, the end of last year, so really new. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from other experienced DCAs.
Okay, great. And Jane, it's a little hard to hear you, so if you wouldn't mind just speaking up a little bit, but you said you're from the Chicago affiliate?
I am. Is that better?
It's still a little hard to hear you. I don't know if maybe it's the volume.
I just turned the volume up. Is that better?
Okay, perfect. That is better. Okay, great. And then it looks like we have Mike on the phone.
From San Diego, the donor and corporate ambassador for San Diego.
Perfect. And you've been with your affiliate for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, for 5 years or so.
Okay, perfect. Great. Well, welcome. And then it looks like we have Roberta on the phone as well.
Hi, yes, I'm from the Orange County affiliate. I'm the affiliate chair, and I've been a volunteer since 2008. Oh, my goodness, 8 years.
Great, great. And you also help out with fundraising within your affiliate as well.
Yes.
Correct? Perfect.
Yes.
And we have Lynette.
I'm the DCA for San Antonio affiliate, and I've been with the affiliate volunteering for about 2 or 3 years, but I've been doing the DCA for almost a year now.
Great. Welcome. And Rebecca?
Yeah, hi there. I'm Rebecca Davis-Suskin, and I'm the DCA and team ambassador in Seattle, Washington. And
Perfect.
I've been with PanCan for about 5 years.
Great. Welcome. And Stephanie?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Pope. I'm from the DCA for the Charlotte affiliate, and I have been volunteering with PanCan for about 4 years now. Started a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, as social media administrator, and then took on the role of DCA about a year ago.
Perfect. Thank you. And Ellen on the line?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I couldn't hear my name there. This is Ellen. I'm with the Phoenix affiliate. I've been volunteering with PanCan here for 4 years, and I've been the DCA here for almost 2 years.
Great. And we have Carlos on the line.
Yes. Hi, this is Carlos from the Broward and Palm Beach affiliate in South Florida. I've been actually volunteering for about 4 years now, and I really like it.
Great, thank you. And it looks like, who else? We have Britt on the line.
Yes, so I'm Britt from the New York City affiliate. I am the DCA here, and I've been with PanCan for about 4.5 years now. I was previously in the event coordinator position.
Great, thank you. And we have Charlotte on the line.
Hey, I'm from Kansas City. I've been a volunteer for 7 years. I started with advocacy, and so been doing that, and then I just started doing sponsorships. I think before we ever had a sponsorship chair, before we ever had a title, I just started dialing for dollars, and I just took on the DC role after Colt last year.
Perfect. And then it looks like Diane is also on. Diane on? Maybe she's signed in but hasn't called in yet. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you all for joining and introducing yourselves. And what we've kind of done tonight is have a few topics that we've heard just filter from DCAs over the years that we thought would be good conversation starters and kind of talk through best practices or even talk through any challenges and how our national office can better support you all as well. And so the first topic is around prospecting. And so I know prospecting and finding new sponsors is something that definitely comes up a lot. And how can we find kind of these warm leads? How can we build out our pipelines to find, you know, more of local sponsorship opportunities? And how really can you engage your whole affiliate to help connect the dots, to help generate these warm leads? And so actually Stephanie, who is on the line from the Charlotte affiliate, actually does a great job in involving her whole affiliate in the prospecting for new sponsors and new corporate partners. So we've kind of asked her to kick off the conversation around prospecting and how she really is able to utilize her whole affiliate in generating leads.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to share a couple items with the group. The first thing that we do as a core team to research sponsors and to get the whole affiliate involved is we actually have a planning meeting for Purple Stride every month. We just started last month, and our event is in September. So we have a monthly meeting all the way up until our Purple Stride. And part of that meeting, the structure is that we each of the chair roles goes around and we share what's going on in our piece of the puzzle for Purple Stride. So for my DCA and sponsorship role, I share where we're at. So we've got our presenting sponsor, or here's our budget for the year, those type of things, who I have reached out to or who are some of our prospects. We also open the floor to volunteers to suggest organizations. They may know their employer would be interested, so I will chat with them, and sometimes they want me to do that ask. And other times they would just like me to kind of help guide them with some information, and they go back to their employer and we'll make the ask on our behalf. So we try to get everyone involved, because the more people that are, you know, looking for prospects, thinking of organizations, making those, you know, connecting those dots for us, that really expands our network, because there's only so many people I can reach out to or think of. And sometimes someone will come back and say, have you thought about this particular organization? And it hasn't crossed my mind, but now we can put them on our list. So we try, like I said, try to incorporate that into every planning meeting. Is one phase, getting everyone involved. The second thing that I do for my core team, because they often will say, have you reached out to this organization or have you reached out to that organization, is I took our pipeline, which that spreadsheet is just full of information, and it can be a little overwhelming when they're looking at it. So I kind of whittled it down to just a one-page summary and created a spreadsheet for my core team that says, here are our sponsors who have signed on and the status of those sponsors. I have their paperwork or their logos already on the Purple Stride website. And then prospects that I have reached out to, maybe we're not their field of expertise, so they're not going to sponsor us. Maybe they tell me that reach out next year. I've already extended my entire budget this year, but come back to me next year. You know, email status, I've sent an email or I've called somebody. And then we have at the very bottom of the list, more prospects. So the core team has access to update that spreadsheet. And if they think of someone or they come across the contact, they're always welcome to put them in that prospecting section for me, the name of the organization, the person that I need to call, or the email address. And they share that information with me so that I can then follow through on that. If for some reason they don't want to update the spreadsheet, I can always get an email. Got a couple of those today of folks that they want me to reach out to. So we try to give them a couple ways to share information. That's the biggest thing, is we just have to constantly be sharing that information amongst each other.
Great. That's you know, some great ideas and of how to really engage and make sure the whole affiliate is aware of you know, everything that you're doing in your DCA role and how they can contribute. Does anyone, I'd love to open it up now, does anyone have other best practices around prospecting, really engaging your whole affiliate, or even any challenges or anything you'd like to bring up with the group?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
go ahead. Okay. This is Rebecca in Seattle. I just want to say, so one of the things that we do in our affiliate is we kind of try to run ourselves like a advisory board of a private nonprofit, which of course we kind of are, an advisory board of a private nonprofit, except that we go above and beyond. And it's kind of, I'm going to date myself here, but it's basically our motto is you're either on the bus or you're off the bus. And if you're on the bus, you know, you have to make a conscious decision to add value to the team on a regular basis. If that means once a month, that's fine. If it means twice a month, that's also fine. But what we do, for example, with Purple Stride, we have a gala in June every year. We make everybody get one large item for our gala. For Purple Stride, we make everybody bring 4 to 5 teams that are based on either one could be a family, one could be a work team, and the 3 others have to be, you know, something that you just kind of scramble together. You engage your friends to bring other folks to the team. So I guess the point of this is that we all take responsibility for the work that all of us do, and we agree what that's going to look like on a monthly, biweekly, whatever basis, and then we just do it. And it was speaking to what the last person said. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. You know, it's important to start with the team because everybody knows somebody, and if you're not doing the work that you should be doing, then, you know, it's really hard to engage other folks into that work. So whenever I go out to prospective donors, I talk about our really amazing team and how much commitment and time and energy we are putting into it. And that I find to be very motivating for outside donors. Everybody wants to be a part of something. So I kind of use that frequently as, you know, look how cool we are, look how engaged we are, look how committed we are. You also can do this.
Great, definitely.
So this is Ellen from Phoenix, and an easy hit, I think, and happened to me this past year, is I became friendly with the local Celgene rep in my area, and as we became friendly, she became very, very willing to share prospects with me that she thought would be good hits and would be connected, and she's been very kind whenever I go to a symposium or something that she's at. She takes me around and gives me warm welcomes, and she's been fantastic and gave me a good list of 30 from like day one. So I think that's a good place to take someone to lunch if you have free time.
Definitely, that's a great idea.
Jane. I have a question. When I came on board,
and Jane, sorry, it's still a little hard to hear you. Would you mind just speaking up just a little bit?
Sure. I feel like I might be shouting, but can you hear me?
Nope, that's perfect, Jane.
Okay. I was saying when I came on board, it was right around Purple Light, and Anne hadn't even come on board yet, so I was really struggling with what I was supposed to do, and it seems like I got caught up in getting honorary co-chairs signed up, just kind of volunteering, getting them volunteering, and I didn't feel our Purple Stride is Saturday, and I just was a little disappointed that I couldn't get more sponsors. So I just sort of felt like we were always kind of distracted as an affiliate, talking about advocacy and the next event, and I'm just wondering what everyone else's experience is with that. Those of you who have more longevity.
Yeah, this is Britt from New York. I just want to say that, so I have two things. So first, I have a little comment for you. I know that our affiliate, we just had our Purple Stride 2 weeks ago, so we also have a really hard time with everybody really pushing for Advocacy Day and getting that bumped up, and working on, January is really big on clinical trial awareness, and it's really hard to make the time. So we've started doing separate Purple Stride meetings. So sometimes it will be, an additional meeting tacked on to the end, and then to the end of an affiliate meeting, and then at other times it'll just be, 2 weeks, we try to do it directly in between our affiliate meetings for those volunteers who, and I think that there's also volunteers who want to hear about Purple Stride and don't want to hear about the other affiliate stuff. But I guess to add on to your question, you talked a little bit about Purple Light, and I guess I have a question on if people find that prospecting for Purple Light sponsorship is like a good use of time, and if they've been successful with that, and those types of things.
Well, this is Jane again, and that's a really good question that you raised, Britt, because I wasn't even sure, are we supposed to be prospecting for sponsors all year long for Purple Stride only? Or also for Purple Light?
Yeah, and I can chime in. This is Brooke, and definitely I think Purple Stride being an avenue where it is a fundraising event, and Purple Light, yes, there are sponsorship opportunities, but oftentimes we like to say Purple Light can be kind of an initial touch point, especially if a sponsor can't commit to a Purple Stride amount level, but definitely Purple Stride sponsorship is more of a focus and a priority. And so being able to kind of build those relationships and steward those sponsors throughout the year to support, to be able to retain those Purple Stride sponsors would definitely be a priority.
And just to add on to that even a little bit more, there are more marketing benefits available to sponsors for Purple Stride, and that's often the appeal for them as well. And so definitely, while there might be some opportunities with Purple Light, really the big opportunity for sponsorship is truly Purple Stride.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have any comments surrounding prospecting or any questions they want to ask the group?
Okay, actually, yeah, this is Carlos from Broward. When it comes into prospecting, a lot of times, depending, I would say, on the comfort level that you have, with your sponsors, you can also use them as a guide to basically give you leads to other prospective sponsor. I have the experience with our presenting sponsor. We sit down last year and basically brainstorming, and with his help, he started calling other people and actually telling them, I say, this is great event that our organization has been involved for a couple of years, and I want you to be part. So that way, I will always say, depending on the comfort level you are, if you have an excellent relationship with them, just ask your current sponsors and say, hey, who else can we bring on board? And definitely they can open the doors, to other organizations as well.
That's a great point. Thank you.
This is Charlotte. I just want to stress, use your pipeline. I have notes all over my home office, my office, and the pipeline keeps me organized. There's times I get on there and, oh, yeah, it's just a great tool.
Thanks, Charlotte. Okay, do we have any other feedback, or should we move on to kind of the next topic we have? Okay, we can go ahead and move on.
Okay, so this is Annie, and another topic that we wanted to touch on was building a DCA committee. We know that one of the aspects of the DCA role that can be challenging to navigate but is also really helpful is, A, the differentiation of roles between the DCA and the sponsorship ambassador, and also building out a committee and how to do so, how to incorporate the affiliate core roles and the general volunteers to assist with prospecting and dividing those leads. And I know we kind of touched on a couple of those in the prospecting section, but in general, as we're talking about building that DCA committee and the dividing of roles between the DCA and the sponsorship ambassador, I'd love to hear if anyone, particularly if anyone has both, if there are any best practices that you found have been very beneficial for you as you're kind of divvying up those responsibilities.
This is Britt from New York, and so with this year was my first time having a sponsorship ambassador on the event with me, and she was new, she was new to the role and new to the experience, but it was actually very helpful to sort of give her some of the tasks that I don't necessarily have as much time for, the sort of the time-consuming tasks. So I really concentrated very heavily. This was our first year with honorary chairs and the leadership breakfast, so I concentrated very heavily on them, the renewal of our past sponsors and engaging them back again, bringing on our medical institutions that we work with. I work very closely with our community engagement chair, working with, having her introduce me to all of, the nurses and the doctors and program managers that she knows. So basically me working as hard as I can on that, and then also encouraging the top teams, which left my sponsorship ambassador to really help a lot with these sort of prospecting things that we've talked about, and really reaching out to the new companies, companies that we sort of talked about other organizations, 5Ks that she could look at for sponsors, New York City-based companies, and then sort of like mid-level law firms, accounting firms, and being able to do those cold asks for me and do the follow-up with those, as well as something we're going to implement for next year is as company teams join on, she would then also be the main contact for those company teams that hopefully in future years would be able to become sponsors.
Perfect, great.
This is Jane Dennis from Chicago, and Britt, thank you for saying that, because you sort of validated that what I was doing was accurate in terms of focusing on, as you said, the honorary co-chairs and developing those relationships. And we also got a sponsor ambassador shortly after I came on, and I was really confused with how to help him, because he said to me, I work better with a plan. And I was like, okay, the plan is fly by the seat of your pants right now, because I don't know what I'm doing. And it was kind of focused on trying to get him to find additional prospects as well while I was going through the pipeline and trying to confirm. So that helped. He and I are going to meet after Purple Stride and try to get a kind of a strategy in place for the coming year. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Jane. Anyone else have any thoughts or feedback, or also challenges as it relates to that, as far as either the dividing of the roles or even building out further and incorporating the general volunteers into some of that as well?
This is Ellen from Phoenix, and I just have a question, because my core affiliate is very small, and we don't have any committees at this point on anybody's core role. So I guess I'm curious, like the DCA adding another ambassador, is that something that's normal at those affiliates that other people have, or is it the only role that has that?
In terms of a sponsorship ambassador?
Yeah, or any type of assistant. Like, I don't know how it's done in other affiliates, but I'm very curious.
In New York City, we're very large, well, a mid-sized affiliate, I would say, for how large our city is, but we do have a lot of the roles filled, but I will say, I think I'm the only one who also has sort of a number two with me, and to be able to help in that. I don't think that the other roles at my affiliate have that.
Okay.
Ellen, the reason Chicago got a sponsor ambassador is because when we were running our affiliate meetings, we were getting a lot of people showing up who wanted to volunteer, and we simply found out what they were interested in. And Sunil, who's our sponsor ambassador, he was interested in fundraising, and so we had that position open, and I spoke with him about it, and that's how he got the job. There's all these other roles that, the chair can sort of find someone to fill if they're interested in it.
This is Britt again. I want to add one other thing about it, because I think that I think that PanCan also wants to make the sponsorship ambassador a year-long role that continues from, year to year, and it's, year-long. But, for me specifically this year in my role, it's somebody who came on a similar way. She came on just for Purple Stride. And specifically helped with that, and I don't know that she'll help with it next year. I would hope that she would, but it's not necessarily a guarantee. She sort of signed on for that 4-month time period.
And that's a great distinction too, Brett, because I know one of the key differentiations between the two is that the DCA role is that ongoing year-long core role. And while we hope that the sponsorship ambassador would like to stay on board and help year over year and even throughout the year, it's not as common, I guess I would say, but definitely something that we would be thrilled by if they wanted to continue to do so. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you all for your answers. That was very helpful to me.
So do we have any other thoughts on that before we move on to the next topic?
This is Stephanie in Charlotte, and I was just going to say thank you to Britt for sharing that split, because I have not really considered splitting out the responsibilities. That way we don't currently have a sponsorship ambassador in Charlotte, but I love that split of responsibilities, primarily giving yourself as the VCA the ability to focus on those past sponsors and the honorary chairs. I think that's a great way to be able to steward and focus on the stewardship of the sponsors. So thank you for sharing that.
Validated me, that's for sure.
Great. Great. Okay, so we'll move on to another topic that, you know, comes up a lot, and that's really engaging healthcare professionals. And it's definitely a growing area where we have seen in markets that have built relationships with institutions and physicians in their area, and how successful it has been in helping to boost revenue and engagement for Purple Stride. And I know, you know, Ellen and Rebecca and Britt all have seen that, you know, in their respective affiliates. And so, you know, I'd love for you guys to share your experience and also open it up to everyone else, and how either how you've been successful in engaging with healthcare professionals, or what challenges that you've faced, and would like to hear best practices from other people. So love to open that up.
This is So this is Britt again from New York City. So one example I really had for this that I thought was really good, because it's a great example, because it was definitely very cold the way it started, and I think that it's hard sometimes for us to see success in cold leads. The New York Presbyterian is one of the leading hospitals in the city, but they hadn't really had a large presence with PanCan with us, with the affiliate specifically, and we really didn't know any of their doctors in particular. In 2013, I attended their first ever pancreatic cancer health fair with our community engagement chair, and while I was there, I met you know, one of the doctor's assistants, and honestly, I didn't really notice that she had really noticed us, or you know, she didn't particularly take a lot of time. But in 2014, we were having a Mets game fundraiser where we all part of the proceeds of the tickets of the Pepsi porch at the Mets game. Part of the proceeds will go to PanCan, and then our sponsors are able to go on the field beforehand and receive an award. And the assistant reached out to me because the doctor was going to attend the game, and she was really interested in meeting those survivors. And so I met her at that game, and the following year, so 2015, I reached out to that assistant to see if they'd want to do a sponsorship. It was my first year as a DCA, and they did. They immediately came in with a $5,000 sponsorship, and this year, she was the first person to come on as one of the honorary co-chairs. So it was really exciting to see that progression. You know, they've already said that they are interested again for next year, so as sponsors. So it's been great.
Great, that's a great example.
This is Ellen from Phoenix again, and you know, we had an interesting and busy year because we took on the honorary chair leadership breakfast this year for the first time ever, and we hadn't had a great connection in the community with the doctors and the healthcare providers, and so, I mean, honestly, when it was recommended to me, and I was told that we were going to ask these 4 different, you know, doctors in the community to be honorary co-chairs, I mean, half of me really believed that we'd either never hear back or they would decline, and they all accepted. And it honestly didn't look particularly fantastic as we were going through the process in terms of the level of commitment. But I'll say this year, our goal was raised by over $50,000, and we met it for the event. But more importantly than that, you know, they had booths stocked with people from their hospitals that got involved in our event, and at the event, we're all talking about, now that I've seen it, next year this is going to be amazing, this is what I'm going to do, and we should do this, and we should do that. And so, like, I'm really inspired now, having gotten through that first stride with them, to really grow that relationship and branch it out, and now that I have all their names, to keep those relationships going and just make them stronger and stronger each year and branch out from there. So I think if you don't have a lot of contacts in the community, that the honorary chair breakfast was a sort of a great way to break the ice and get in there in a big way.
This is Jane in Chicago, and I wanted to share with you that my attempt to reach out to last year's co-chair was a real eye-opening experience, and one doctor in particular shared with me that he felt we were not being diversified enough, and we were only focusing on the surgeons, and we ended up he ended up telling me, you know, you should have the researchers up there, you should have medical oncologists, you should have hematologists, so forth, and he said he'd be happy to introduce me to them. Well, I didn't know any better, and we ended up with 6 honorary co-chairs across suburban as well as teaching institutions. And Pam came and said she didn't think she'd ever seen 6 actual panelists from the medical community in the past. But it was only because I didn't know what I was doing, and I just kept asking people at different institutions, and they were connecting me with their colleagues, and I now have sort of a pipeline of potential honorary co-chairs for next year already. So it was a real interesting experience just to have conversations with them about what they like, what works for them as an honorary co-chair, what they think, you know, could be improved. They're not afraid to talk to you about that stuff.
Definitely. And it looks like someone else was going to share. Did someone just say something?
Yeah, hi, this is Rebecca in Seattle again. What I was going to say is that we all need to remember that, you know, docs are just, they're doing a job, right? I mean, it's a hard job, and it involves a lot of commitment, and it's really long, and, you know, but these folks really care, especially the folks who work with patients who have pancreatic cancer. So my first suggestion, I have a very close and strong relationship with a lot of the doctors here in Seattle. Some of that's because I'm a physician myself, but it's also because what I would recommend is approaching the docs as if you were approaching yourself. What do you need when you're in your job? You need somebody to help you out. Wouldn't it be great to have an outside person or organization that actually made your job easier? So whenever I'm going out to a new group, so for example, we have a HMO here called Group Health. They were just purchased by Kaiser. We do not have a lot of history with them or any kind of connections, but a lot of our families are going to Group Health because they have Group Health insurance. I did not have any kind of connections with them, and I found out from our families, from Stride, who they were seeing, and then I just cold called the docs and said, hey, you know, here's how we can help you out. Do you want us to educate your nurses? We can bring in all this materials. And then as soon as you're in the door and you're talking with, maybe you're talking with an MP or an RN, or maybe you're even talking with the doc, and in many cases you are because they're very committed and interested in what you have to say, then you're in. And then each medical center has its own foundation, its own pile of money. You ask your doc, you know, who do I talk to about getting you guys involved on kind of a, you know, more public relations level, and you're immediately connected by the doc that you're talking with the PR person. The PR person is there to work for the doc. So it's kind of this circuitous route to get in, but I'm telling you, all these oncologists want support and they want help and they want to be involved because I mean, they wouldn't be doing this. It's not, you know, there's not big bucks to be made in cancer. And if you're waving the flag of support and help, they'll take it. You just have to kind of make that first step and identify who you need to talk to. And then if you have a physician champion, you can reach any department in the medical center in which they work. And that would be my advice.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else that has had either challenges with engaging healthcare professionals or success story, questions? Okay.
All right, so the next topic that we wanted to cover was building and engaging company teams and healthcare professional teams, and how do we do that? And so, you know, I think everyone knows that the company teams are a great foot in the door for potential sponsorship down the road, and even just company engagement in general. But how do people go about doing that? And a couple of questions to consider, and hopefully maybe someone can share, is the best practices of engaging with the company team and growing that relationship. So how do you steward those relationships on a regular basis, but then or finding a new one that you can engage with and then bring on board. Another thought would be, how do you turn a team that's already engaged into a potential sponsor? And also, how do you turn a no from sponsorship into a yes for a company team instead? And I believe, Charlotte, you have had success with this particular piece in the past. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yes, I have. I 2 or 3 years ago went and asked Mattress Firm. Mattress Firm has been good in some of our markets at supporting us, and so I went and asked the Kansas City manager, and she just could not get, the way we're structured here, just could not get any corporate dollars for a sponsorship. So at that point, you know, you can hang your head and thank her and walk away. But I said, hey, you know, how about a company team? And these are salespeople. These are aggressive salespeople. And here we are, Kansas City is half in Kansas and half in Missouri. So they divided into 2 teams. And so, unfortunately, our registration doesn't let us have sub-teams under a team. So they had to register as 2 separate teams, and they're so competitive. They had so much fun competing against each other because they knew pretty much everyone in the Kansas City market, and they just have a lot of fun, you know, ribbing the other half of their sales. They've made it fun and have totally engaged. Last year, they had raised $19,000 as of my Purple Stride, and they called me and said, does fundraising shut down? And I said, no, it actually is open for 90 days after the event. They said, we have to hit 20. I mean, that's how engaged they are, and this was a no, we don't have any corporate dollars to one of my best teams out there. And so, especially being in the sales, you know, they're just the outgoing kind of people. But I have another corporate sponsor. They've been a corporate sponsor for years. It's a hospital here in town, and they have restructured how they're doing sponsorships. And for the last 2 years, I've gotten a big fat no, we don't have any money for you. And this is a hospital that has been at every event, and they have their tent, and they have doctors attend. They've had the CEO attend, and now their marketing people, it's the nurses, it's the GI nurses that want to support us, and it's the marketing people that won't. And so once again, I just shower them with as much attention as I do as if they're a sponsor. I'm like, oh, because I've got my foot in the door, I know them, and we just work on the team, and you know, just hopefully someday they'll change their mind on this, how they do sponsorships, and I'll get them back. But you know, I went by the hospital last week and dropped off flyers and buck slips just like I would have, and just keep them engaged.
That's a great point. And I know many markets, probably most if not all, have seen that oftentimes your biggest fundraisers are those large company teams. Sponsorships do bring in a fair amount of money, but the large chunk of revenue does come in through those teams, and so engaging the companies in that way can be a great benefit.
Well, and what Mattress Firm allowed their employees to do, and I don't know what other industries would allow their employees to give discounts, but Mattress Firm, the manager said, fine, you know, a normal mattress delivery is $50 or $75, depends on where you live, whatever. So their employees had the ability, as they're selling a mattress, to say, hey, would you like free delivery? And of course, everybody's going to go, oh, yeah. And they're like, hey, give me $50 to my Purple Stripe team, and I can deliver it for you for free. And so they had that ability to discount part of their service. And so the people, so they had the Purple Stride app. Everyone had it on their computer. So as you sit down and you're buying your mattress, that salesman just turned around his keyboard and said, here's my team, here's my name, and they just sat there and made their online donation of $50, and then he discounts the delivery. So I don't know how many other industries, but you know, you can ask if you're in some kind of retail situation. Ask what would you kick in, because that's how these employees were getting so much in donations, because they're giving out free deliveries for you know.
Absolutely. Right. And it also, you know, just for them, shows them as a leader and being philanthropic in the community as well. So it kind of helps to boost their image as well. So it's a great example. Does anyone else have company team stories or challenges, how they've been able to steward and grow a relationship with the company through team and employee engagement?
This is Ellen again in Phoenix, and I wouldn't say I could speak to stewarding or growing. I will just say that I did have an experience this year that made me realize, you know, don't give up, because a different team leader can change the world at a place, and you never know when that'll happen and who will get engaged. But you know, we had done, 2 years ago, we had done a pep rally at Celgene, and I always joke that it was like the pepless rally, and we didn't sign up anyone, and they had very few, volunteers that helped quite a bit at registration, but not a team walking. And this year we went, and it was a whole different world. They had a new team leader, and they were signing them up left and right, and it was fun and exciting. And so if you have a team that you think could have a lot of potential but doesn't, maybe just keep trying to engage a different leader to bring in the sparkle spirit, and it can really, like, change the whole team overnight.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we have about 8 minutes left. And one thing that we wanted to kind of go through was just the DCA and sponsorship ambassador collaboration across the country, and just kind of get your feedback on how you all can collaborate more. Did you like this group call and sharing ideas? How are you utilizing Volunteer Central, or how we could use that as a platform to allow more open dialogue and conversation amongst, you know, DCAs and any fundraising volunteers across the country. So love to hear from you guys about that. And then also just in the last few minutes, if there are any other topics or feedback that you know, questions that you wanted to ask each other gained from the group.
This is Jane from Chicago again. I have used Volunteer Central because I sought out Maurice from Cincinnati, from Ohio. And he and I had a really nice conversation because I was really struggling, and he gave me a little bit of direction, and I think this call for me has already given me great ideas. I'm kind of creating an agenda for when I meet with my SA after Purple Stride, so I think I just needed, you know, the Volunteer Central thing is great, but if you don't have anyone introduce you to it, it's kind of awkward. It's like another Facebook page I have to manage.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Does anyone use Volunteer Central? Every time I log in, it tells me it doesn't know my password. I reset it, and by then I'm like, I'm not going to bother. I've never used it. Is it a good tool?
And this is Brooke too, and I know it's definitely still a new platform, and so I think we're also just figuring out ways that we can utilize the fundraising volunteer forum to, you know, encourage volunteers to post topics or questions there so that everyone can really kind of chime in and share information and share best practices there as well, because we do have a fundraising volunteer group where there's the capability to kind of post questions and reply on a thread, and so it is a good tool if we're utilizing it. And so I guess my question to everyone too is, how can we facilitate better conversation over Volunteer Central, as well as did you guys enjoy this call? Would you like to have more kind of peer-to-peer sharing as well throughout the year to ensure that everyone's able to ask each other questions and kind of share what people are doing across the country?
This is Britt. I definitely think that, you know, I like listening and talking to people in real time a little bit better than I think, you know, I'm more apt to post in the Volunteer Central. I think this, for me, works a little bit better.
I think the Volunteer Central is great if you're trying to find collateral or examples, presentations, and so forth. But I have to agree with Britt. I think, you know, speaking with someone is a little easier than, unless it's a pointed question that you just, you know, want to throw out there.
Yeah, I think that, I'm sorry, this is Carlos, and I actually, you know, really like the idea of meeting during the conference call every once in a while to share the ideas. I basically have a couple of points that I've been gathering from everybody's experience and just giving me, you know, new ideas on how to engage and how to look for more sponsors and all that. So I think that talking over the phone once in a while, I think that would be great as well. So.
Perfect. Well, we'll definitely, you know, keep that in mind, and maybe we do a quarterly conference call where, similar to this, we kind of have different topics and share and get everyone, you know, communicating with each other and collaborating. Great. Well, we just have a few minutes left, and so I just want to thank everyone for being on the call tonight and for all of your feedback and sharing your challenges and sharing your best practices. And we definitely found this to be helpful as well, and I think we'll be scheduling more of these as well. And also we will be sending out a monthly webinar schedule just with different topics and trying to kind of get everyone together once a month on the phone to discuss certain aspects of the role and things like that, I think will also be helpful. So please stay tuned for that as well. And just, I know everyone has a busy schedule and does so many things, and right now we're kind of doing these webinars once a month, and I just wanted to kind of get a survey from you guys. Is once a month, is that something you guys like doing? Is it easy to attend? Would you prefer it every other month? Just kind of want to get a sense from you all that are on the line, what your preference is and what you think is most helpful.
Quarterly?
I agree. Once a month is too often. Quarterly is good.
Okay. Okay, well, we will definitely kind of look at our schedule, and we'll send something out to you guys too once we kind of finalize what a webinar schedule would be like. It might end up being every other month, but we'll put together a plan with specific dates so that you guys have that up front and know when a webinar will be on a certain month well in advance. Okay, well, thank you guys again so much for joining us and for sharing, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.